Russell Salvatore is one of the most successful restaurateurs in the history of Western New York. And like any great coach, athlete, or businessman, Russell has a formula for success.
Well, number one, Bob, I think the reason for my success is I love what I do. If you love what you're doing and you dream it, eat it, and sleep it every single night, you're going to be successful. You pay a lot of penalty for it. In order to be a good restaurateur and a successful restaurateur, it ruins your family life a little bit because it's difficult to give both sides the amount of time they deserve. Your family deserves it, and I just was stubborn enough. I love the restaurant business so much, and I goofed up a little bit by not giving the attention to my family. They all love me and everything like that. They know what I'm like. I go back to when I was 17 and I was tending bar for my dad. Everybody would have Christmas dinner at home, and I'd say, "Pa, let me stay on the corner saloon with the guys smoking that Italian stogie and eating a hard-boiled egg," and I would stay Christmas with them. So it stayed in me. But in order to be a good, successful restaurateur, do what you expect to be done to you. If you're going to go out for service, number one, I'm a very ticklish individual. I don't like eating in a restaurant. If you're going to go out and spend good money, number one, I would like a tablecloth on my table. I would like a linen napkin. It's so funny because a little story, when I was off for about a year when I turned the place over to my son, I went to the Red Lobster for dinner, and it was excellent. It's not my type of a restaurant, but I was eating out every night. And I had like 2 or 3 pound-and-a-quarter lobsters. They were out of this world. I must have went through 50 napkins because it's a paper napkin. So the hostess come up and I told her, says, "You know, I love your lobster. The place is great. When I embarrass you, I want to come here once a week. Can I bring my own linen?" And she allowed me to bring my own linen, my own tablecloth, and my own linen napkins. And when you really break it down, a linen napkin is cheaper to serve than 3 paper napkins if you're going to eat it. And I go back to the days when I took over my dad's corner restaurant. I changed a small pizzeria and threw some tables out. We were doing no business, but I went and bought tablecloths. I bought linen napkin. I put a little flower vase, and when you came in for a pizza, you got linen. You got a little plate with the Lazy Susan, a knife and fork, you know, eat pizza. High class, let's put it high class or something. But service, there's so many people out there that don't understand service. I don't mean to put them down. Little ticklish things that you would not find in Russell's. When you're done eating, the table has to be completely done when you're done eating in order to be clean. I have bus boys to clear everything, brush the crumbs off. You go out for dinner, how often, the people listening to me right now, you go out for dinner and the waiter will come up to you and ask you, "Can I get you dessert?" That's a no-no. Your next step is, fine, can I offer you a cup of coffee, a cappuccino, an espresso, and here's your dessert menu. You don't serve dessert first and then come back with coffee. That would not happen in Russell's. And I mean, we get our complaints, and I mean, when we get a complaint, if you're here with your wife and that steak's not cooked properly, you got to remove both dinners from the table at the same time, and you bring them back at the same time. You follow me? And I have people for me, and I correct them. If a person is unhappy with their dinner, don't tell them, "Well, I'll give you an after-dinner drink." They don't drink. I'll buy a dessert. If you're unhappy with a dinner, take the dinner off the menu. Why are you going to charge somebody for something that they eat? To buy them a dessert sometimes is more expensive than taking the dinner off. You're only taking the food cost, and you're going to make that person feel good, and they'll come back and they'll try again. You can go a step further and say, "Fine, I'm sorry, upset your evening. Taking the dinner off, and I'm going to give you a $25 gift certificate to come back." Make that person walk out that door that they love you. That's so important for them to come back. That one individual that you might give a bad taste in their mouth, they're going to tell 25 or 50 people. I think I learned it immediately, because when I was younger and I was like 17, 18, I was going, let's just say in my 20s, I was out for dinner every other Sunday. And I went out for dinner, you dressed up. Number one, going out for dinner was dressing up. The clientele, the people that go out today for dinner, it's discouraging because you try to run a nice property and a guy will come in with his baseball hat on or sneakers or shorts. It isn't fair to the restaurateur or to the individual that's coming in to celebrate their 50th anniversary to sit down. Number one, you will not get into Russell's with a baseball hat on. I have guys come to the bar, and this is the honest to God's truth. They'll come and sit down at the bar and they got their baseball hat on. The waiter will go, the bartender will go to the waiter and say, "Sir, I'm very, very sorry, but Mr. Salvatore does not allow baseball hats on board in the restaurant. Would you be so kind to take your hat off, and your first drink is compliments to him?" And I win them that way. What's it going to cost you? 25, 50 cents to buy someone a drink? It's not charging it $8 a drink, and you don't get them mad, but I can't stand someone coming into a property with a baseball hat on. It isn't fair to the public. And I started this, I'm saying the truth, I was fussy back in those days. The only reason I learned this. You were going out to restaurants back when we were younger, 50 years ago, that were all high-class restaurants. Not demanding any more than we're expecting, but you remember Victor Hugo's, you remember the Cloister, you remember the Park Lane. When I went out on Sunday, these are the places I ate in. I went to school learning from Peter Gus, the Delapo family, the Cloister. It was a pleasure to go out to eat that. It was like going to a fashion show. You follow me? That's how I learned, and it got into my stomach, and the more I did it when I traveled. I mean, I can remember going to a restaurant in New York City, the Tavern on the Green, across from everybody was dressed. When you went out in those days to those restaurants, if you didn't have a suit jacket or a tie, at the door they had a closet. They gave you a tie and a suit jacket. Try to do that today. You know what the guy would do? He'd probably punch you in the nose and say, "I'm going someplace else where I can go the way I wanna." You know, I mean, it's so funny. I mean, we get some people, I joke with them, not make them feel bad. That baseball hat is the worst thing. A guy came in the other night and he wasn't with a suit jacket or a tie. And he asked me, he says, "Sir," he says, "I like the looks of this restaurant. What do you have to have on to get into this restaurant?" I said, "A wallet." And he started laughing, and I won him over, you know, but he was not dressed. The biggest gripe, I got a sign at the door, is baseball hats. Why do people insist on going with baseball hats? Something's got to be done with that. That's the most rudest thing in the world going into Does anybody that's listening to me, no offense, do you eat at home at the supper table with your family with a baseball hat on? I'm talking to people who are why do you want to do it in a place of a public appearance? Am I wrong, Robert?
No, but I think those guys probably are wearing a baseball cap.
At home? Well, if it was the wife, I would have the big rolling pin and hit the guy right in the head. I mean, we never did that in our family. Never. But those are years ago.
Russ originally did pasta dishes when he owned Salvatore's, but there is a reason why you don't see those traditional Italian favorites on the menu at Russell's.
Well, you know what? When I gave the place to my son down the street about 9 years ago, and that's I was going to step back, I didn't want to open up an Italian restaurant because for some reason, we are very successful. We probably try to serve the finest steaks. Everybody's got great steaks. The service makes it taste that much better. People, when they come in, I always wanted to be by the Buffalo Airport. You got a lot of hotels. Everybody is looking for a steakhouse. You'll never hear anybody come in the airport and say, "Where's there a fine Italian restaurant?" They're all good. But when I had the Italian restaurant down the street, you have the Italian people come in and they criticize. No one likes anybody else's sauce but their mother's sauce. Nobody likes anybody's artichoke heart but their mother's heart. Oh, Russ, it's good, but not as good as my grandmother made it. It's good, it's not as good as my mother. I couldn't take that any longer. Now everybody comes in and they say to me, Russ, the best steak I've ever had. The steak is out of this world. You get more pats on the back of the steak, and the pats on the back would make you continue 68 years being in the hospitality business.
Russell does feel there's a reason why Italian restaurateurs like the owners of Iliad Apollo's and the Billatier family at Chefs are successful.
I think what it is because, don't forget, being in the restaurant, when our families came over from Italy, we weren't the most liked people. And we went into the saloon business. None of us had education. My father, no education. The easiest thing was going into the saloon business. Everybody chewed tobacco, smoked cigars. You go behind the bar, you get a liquor license, and my dad bought the first drink all the time. You were in a business which was a low-life business, the saloon business. Today, all those restaurants that you mentioned are family-owned. Family-owned. You got the restaurant business that's going up today. Who owns it? A lawyer that's very, very successful. You know, a doctor that's very successful. Family-owned business started and did not make money. You had to work hard when you were Italian, and very hard. I remember my dad having the corner saloon, and when the guy come in to get him back there, he says, son, when that guy comes in that door, that shoe box, you shine his shoes. And I had to shine that guy's shoes for a quarter tip. The American people are very fortunate to be successful, educated. They come from good families. We didn't come from rich families. We had a struggle. That's today, every good, successful Italian restaurant, every good, successful restaurant, you will see it'll be Italian, and it's always chef, owner, chef, owner, chef, owner. Iliad Apollo, he's in his kitchen as much as I am. You take Louis at Chefs, and I mean, he's in his kitchen, he's at that door. You go to these American restaurants, you got a hostess. You don't have people with a heart that's going to say, good morning, how are you? We kiss a lot of butts. We love people.
That love has meant a history of getting back for Russ Salvatore.
Well, it started when I happened to break my ankle, and they took me to ECMC. And at that time, I had a television set that was probably the size of my watch, that was about 80 years old. And I said to Jody LeMayo, I said, Joey, you know what? I don't believe that you have to pay to turn a television set on in a hospital. He says, that's been going on for years. I says, what do I have to do in order to discontinue this? He says, well, Russ, you want to buy new television sets? Well, I called up, I says, how many you got? He says, 400 something. I called a friend of mine over at Stereo Advantage, and he says, Russ, I'll get you television sets for $70. I figured out it was peanuts. Well, that backfired on me because you have to have a certain television set for hospitals, which was $400 and some. So I spent quite a bit of money, and I didn't realize how many hearts I hit home giving this person that's sick. In the orthopedic room, they built it after me, a nice looking television to turn on and no charge. And I started there. The next thing I did, I heard a girl come in for dinner, and she says, I just left Roswell, and my mother's in the hospital, and would you believe, it's $8.50 a day to turn the television on, and we don't have the money to turn the television on. I immediately, that next day, I hope I dropped dead if I'm lying, I called Candace Johnson at Roswell and said, what do I have to do in order to let this charge go by? And now when you turn your TV on in Roswell, it says, good morning, I'm Russ Salvatore. I want to wish you all the luck in the world, and your television set is compliments of me. I will do every hospital in the city of Buffalo with new television sets, and where there will never be a charge as long, before I die, I will have that done, I swear. I'm out there, and if anybody's listening and you need a help in the I've contacted everybody, they know it. You know what I like about doing the hospitals? You're hitting everybody under the sun that can't afford to turn the television. You got cancer. You're there for 3 months. You know what $850 times 3 months comes to? It's more expensive than your hospital bill, for God's sake. And it hit 1,000 homes, and I'm doing all the hospitals, and now I've just got involved where they've come to see me, and there's a couple of young teenagers, baseball parks, like right over here on Worley Drive. They come and they says, would you build a new batting cage? I says, you know what, you put my name on that fence, Russ Salvatore's baseball diamond, I'll give you a brand new baseball diamond. They took it. I give them $250,000 to make it, but there's going to be Russ Salvatore's baseball field for little kids. They see me with their parents in here for dinner. Thank you, Mr. Salvatore. I'm crazy, and I love helping the community. I said it, I have nothing to do with my money. If I die, I don't know who's going to fight out of it, but I'll make sure I'm broke before I die. Let me ask you, would you buy me my next vodka?
Absolutely.
Thank you. I'm a heavy drinker. No, but it does make you feel good inside when you do give back. I just have no idea what I would do. I work hard. It makes my business, giving back to the community is what's made me successful in the restaurant business. Not that my food is any better, but my father always taught me, son, remember one thing. If you give, you'll get back. And he gave during the Depression, fed the neighborhood. He had a corner saloon with a speakeasy. Everybody got potatoes and lettuce from my father's corner saloon. I guess I learned that from him. It's in the heart.